Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Don't forget to like, share and comment after watching the video. Thank you. Let's go. Story number 1. Am I wrong for ruining my own birthday party by exposing my sister in front of everyone? This started several months ago when my sister told me her cat is refusing to use the litter box ever since she had him declawed. She was planning to surrender him when I told her I'll take him in myself. That cat is my cat now. Yesterday, when my siblings, parents, and other relatives came over for my birthday, my aunt noticed that I don't have any litter box at my place. She assumed I wasn't taking proper care of my cat, and the others did as well. They all started lecturing and calling me a cheapskate until I told them that my cat doesn't use litter boxes since he's declawed. I forgot to consider that they would assume I was the one who declawed him. My sister joined in on them, telling me off to cover up for herself, so I told everyone she was the one who declawed the cat before giving him to me. She turned red and started shouting at me, calling me a snitch. I shouted back that it's not my job to take the blame for her action, and we had an argument before our uncle stepped in. My mom is now saying I should have just taken the blame for it instead of escalating and having a full-blown argument in front of my guests, who were all there for me. That a shouting match in front of them was in poor taste. Did I handle it wrongly? Edit. Thank you very much, everyone. Just to clarify, yes, I have been allowing him to pee and poop on the floor after he refused to use the paper litter, but I will start using puppy pads as suggested by many.
Story number 2. Am I the jerk for telling my mom she can't talk to my kid about her miscarriage and take him to the grave? I 28F have a son 5N. I was adopted and grew up the consolation prize for the miscarriage my mom 68F had at 20 weeks. We had to go to this fetus's grave every year. One of my earliest memories was her forcing me to give my favorite stuffed rabbit to the grave. I grew up with her venting about how hard the miscarriage was to me, and I honestly think it was super inappropriate, and it made me feel like a second option to what she actually wanted. I obviously was never good enough. I recently found out that she took my son to the fetus's grave and told him about it. I told her that's an off-limits topic and he has no business hearing about her miscarriage at 5 years old. Now, some people in my life are saying I am an off for telling my mom she couldn't tell my son about his dead aunt, but I think I'm justified in not wanting him to have to hear about it too. It was literally 30 years ago. Am I the jerk? Edit. Thank you so much everyone for the support. I was somewhat gaslit for my whole childhood, and this thread has really helped me to see how messed up it really was that she consistently trauma dumped on me and put her grief on me during my childhood. I'm definitely going to consider going LC, and if my son tells me she's brought it up again, likely NC.
Story number 3. Am I the jerk for telling my son he and his fiancée is spoiled? I'll try to keep this short. My M57 son M23 is engaged to Peggy F22. They have been engaged for 5 months or so. Our culture dictates that Peggy's father and I share the costs for their wedding. Her father said we should provide $10,000 each, a total $20,000 budget. I could afford this, sure, but this seems insane and extravagant to me. I said I would give $5,000 and he could give whatever he wanted. Peggy's father also put up $5,000. I told my son this and he told me outright it wasn't going to be enough. He said, I don't mind. I figured that me and Peggy would have to pay for some of the wedding. I asked what he meant. He said no way would they be able to do their wedding in under $10,000. I said my own wedding, after haggling and deals, only came out to around $7,000, so I do not think this is an issue. He argued against me and said that my wedding was 40 years ago and prices were different. He outlined some prices and said the cheapest venue he could find was $5,000 and food alone was going to be $25,000. He again said he didn't mind and he thanked me for giving them money for the wedding, but I honestly felt hurt that he thought we were not giving enough. I said how could food come out to $2,500 and he said that that was only around $25 per person. I suggested ordering pizzas or sub sandwiches, but he looked at me like I was crazy. I said okay, well, we can just offer less for the photographer and decorator, and he said that isn't how things are done. I said it is how things are done, and maybe if Peggy and him weren't so spoiled and expecting the best of the best for everything, then $10,000 would be plenty. After I said this, he just closed his eyes and thanked me for the money and basically told me to get out. I was complaining about this instance to my wife and she told me I was being a stick in the mud and it's his only wedding. My friends agree with me though. AITA? Story number 4. Am I the jerk for telling my Sil to stop reminding my mom about my brother's birthday? My brother, Caleb, has his birthday in a few days. Caleb is the thirdest oldest in my family. Counting half-siblings, I am the ninth. Growing up, our tyrannical father left when we were young, and my mom was barely able to keep a roof over our heads. Apparently, many times before the incident I'm about to explain, she forgot Caleb, but I don't remember any of those, and some of my other siblings deny that and have specific memories that show the opposite. When I was 15, our house burnt down and Caleb moved in with his girlfriend, now wife. A few months later was his birthday, and our mom forgot to call him. Keep in mind, he abandoned our family and didn't help her with bills at all from his job like my other siblings were. She was literally living in her oldest child's basement while taking care of 6 underage children. My Sil, Teresa, has never let her forget it. I didn't even know this was happening until last year, but for the past decade, Teresa has unfailingly texted my mom a few days beforehand to remind her of Caleb's birthday. Every time this brings my mom so much heartbreak and feelings of guilt, and brings her back to extremely traumatic and triggering times in her life. I only found out last year because she got the text when I was with her and she started crying. Once again this year I was with her when she got the text. She literally started sobbing and apologizing to me, asking if she was truly such a terrible mom, etc. I of course told her no, she was an amazing mom to me. I felt like this has gotten ridiculous. Then I got on my phone and called Teresa and told her she needs to stop doing this. Teresa got mad at me and started saying my mom was X, Y, Z and she was trying to keep Caleb from being hurt. I asked her to explain to me one way Caleb had been hurt recently, and she kept saying there were things that were none of my business. There was only one example she gave of a childhood neighbor dying and my mom not telling him, which was a lie because my mom had forwarded him all the church emails. He also hadn't talked to this person in years. Well then today I go over to Caleb's house to pick up some stuff and he makes a big deal saying that I was mean to Teresa and that I can't come around for a while. I explained the situation and how upset mom was and he said it didn't matter. This really hurts me because I use their house to get internet in order to do my college work, which will be starting soon. So now he's punishing me for Teresa's allegations about my mom. I would also point out Teresa has never given my mom a chance to prove she remembers, so it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. AITA? Story number 5. Am I the jerk for intentionally making my homophobic cousin uncomfortable? Hi there, I'm a 22M dude with a problem. My younger cousin, Paul 21M, is a total shithead that the family is mostly in denial about. He leeches off his family and makes them spend money that they really shouldn't be spending on luxury items to fit in better with his rich friends. He's an alcoholic and has shown up shit-faced to basically every family gathering since he was 17. And ever since we were young, I've basically been his punching bag. My grandmother has tried to call out that he's incredibly irresponsible for his age. All of his writing assignments for college are being done by his older sister and dad. He's stolen money multiple times for stupid video game shit, etc. With the main excuse being that he's figuring things out. I have no desire to reconcile with him. He's been a dick to me my whole life. The entire family just seems to assume he'll eventually become not in a swipe, but I've been hearing that for decades. So for years, after trying and failing to stand up for myself, I just sort of caved and took it. I disassociated at every family gathering, tried to leave, failed, and got shat on. Until a miracle happened. I came out as gay. See, turns out Paul is painfully homophobic. I had only kinda discerned this. We had a trans family friend as well who recently died, and he was incredibly rude during the dinner after the funeral, dead naming, etc. I just sorta assumed it'd be another thing I'd get shat on for, until I brought my boyfriend to one of our family gatherings. Paul, mysteriously, just straight up avoids me. For the first time ever, I have a holiday where I am left alone by him, and I love IT. I start to notice that whenever my partner isn't in my proximity, he feels comfortable attempting to start shit. However, if my boyfriend is around, or if we show any degree of affection, he gets visibly disgusted and distances himself. After testing this a few times, I found out it worked like a charm. My partner was overjoyed he could help me, and I got to actually have a great time with the rest of my family as well. Paul just stuck with other family members who weren't in the same room as me. Since then, I've used this tactic to basically every family gathering. Me and the boy think it's funny and he just avoids us. My older cousin, his sister, Alexa, called me recently. He was complaining to her about it and she thought the whole thing was hilarious. I appreciated this until my sister found out. She said it's unfair of me to weaponize my sexuality this way, and that making him uncomfortable like this is no better than how he's treated me. Alexa and I argued that he's been doing the same to me for years. It isn't hurting him, and it's made family gatherings actually fun to go to. She's incredibly angry about this and is threatening to tell him that it's intentional. I legitimately do not care if she does, but I worry a bit that I'm enjoying this a bit too much. AITA?
Story number 6. Am I the jerk for kicking my sil out of my bridal party for posting a pic of me in my wedding dress? I 27F got engaged to my fiancé 34M right before COVID and due to the pandemic have experienced delay after delay. But finally we have begun planning and are aiming at a mid-May 24th wedding. My mother asked me if I could include my sil in my bridal party, because after marrying my brother moved several states away and has expressed feeling isolated without family around. I could understand, so I agreed. But my sil has been nothing short of a nightmare. My bridesmaid all assisted in handwriting and sending out our wedding invitations, but the ones my sil helped with all had zero invitation inside and instead was an empty envelope. I know they were hers because everyone had different shades of pink envelopes to go from. She also took the longest at our makeup and hair consultations, even extending her appointment an hour. To which I was charged. I am covering her expenses as she is a Sam and I know things are tight right now because she could not agree with the stylist on what makeup she wanted. But the final straw came when I found the dress of my dreams. Only problem was I was 15 pounds too heavy for it and I bawled my eyes out because I knew this was the dress for me.
Everyone was encouraging and I still had plenty of time to lose 15 pounds and come back for fitting, etc., so I agreed and said yes to the dress. When I got home that night, I noticed on my sil's Instagram that she has posted a picture to her Instagram of me in the dress ugly crying, and I was absolutely livid. My fiancé has already seen the Instagram picture and I am devastated. He was not supposed to see me in the dress until our wedding day and I know so many more people have seen it. I could not help myself. I called her and exploded, adding that she was not going to be in my bridal party and that she has ruined my wedding. My mother has called me and told me that even though she understands I lacked compassion and have severely hurt my sil's feelings, she asked if I could find it in my heart to forgive, but I told her even if I did that I still would not include her in my party. AITA? Update. My brother reached out to me to apologize on my sil's behalf. He stated that she posted it thinking the app had the feature to where she could post privately. I have never seen this on Instagram or knew it was possible, but when I asked why the picture was taken in the first place, he said she just wanted to capture the start of my fitting into the dress journey. I told my brother she was not getting back into my bridal party, which he understood, but when I mentioned she could not attend my wedding, he stated if that were the case he could not come either. Update 2. My brother and Sil did not have a wedding. At the time they were in their third year of college and only married at the courthouse over a summer break. I admit that I do not have a very close relationship with her. I work longer hours and often am tired after, so go straight home to relax, especially these last few years. Anytime we have been together we are cordial, but there is no real relationship between us. Story number 7. Am I the jerk for telling my professor he's causing the distraction and submitting a formal complaint to the head of the department? I 21F am enrolled in a summer session at my university. This school doesn't have a blanket policy on cell phone use in the classroom. It's up to the professor's discretion. Most say, it's your grade, you get what you put into it. Others will say it affects your grade, but they won't call you out on it. Just mark it in their book under participation. I don't have an issue with either method. I personally don't use my phone, but I don't really care if others do so long as they're not disrupting the class, which 99.9% of the time, they're not. There's no music, no bright lights, just someone texting or scrolling social media. But a select few make it a point to call it out every time. Some it's just a, hey, put it away, but others really lay into the person and it derails class. As this is a summer session, we already have a limited number of classes and it's difficult when this professor is stopping class every few minutes. Now, I know the obvious solution is these people just stop using their phones. But that's out of anyone's control but theirs. Am I annoyed with them? Kind of, but I also don't know their life and why they may need their phone. What can be controlled is stopping class so damn often and then lecturing for a while. I've tried to talk to the professor about this after class, but he blew me off. Today was kind of the tipping point. One of the usual suspects was on her phone. Professor sees her and stops class to lecture her. She says she's not putting it away. Professor said he's not going back to the lecture until she does. At this point, I'm pissed. We've already spent 5 minutes on this, not accounting for another person he laid into before. I spoke up and said this isn't fair to the rest of us. We're trying to learn and this is eating into our time. The professor tried the whole be upset with your peer and I said no, I said yes. Maybe she shouldn't be using her phone, but it's not a distraction. This is the distraction. Someone else said they planned on reporting this to the head of the department, meaning the professor stopping class so often, and I agreed that may be best. Myself, cell phone girl, and letter writer were asked to leave class for the day. We later got an email on decorum. Letter writer and I did submit a written complaint to the head of the department, stating that our learning was constantly disrupted and noting examples of us trying to speak with the professor before. Some people I've spoken to say I was in the right. Others say I just should have shut up and let it go. They pointed out the possible hypocrisy of me being upset class was derailed. Then I made it worse. I see that point but also think the kerfuffle would have continued as long as cell phone girl didn't put her phone away. Edit. So the common consensus among the ETAS is that I should have just gone to the department head to start, given I already tried talking to the professor on my own. Which I can understand that POV and don't disagree. I want to clarify again. I am not mad about his policy. It is well within his rights. I am upset about how he executes it. Kicking her out takes 5 seconds versus going on a whole tangent multiple times throughout class. But for those, I shouldn't have submitted the complaint either. What is your alternative? Some have said talk to the student, but if that doesn't work, we continue to fall behind on material and then we don't do well. That's basically punishing those who aren't doing anything wrong. So genuinely, how does this get fixed outside going above him? Thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below.